guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's EJ Marino, and this is About Last Night, the show where I talk about the movie I saw last night. We're gonna jump right into this week's viewing. Oh boy, it's Night School. I really don't know how to start this review off without sounding like a douchebag, but I'm just gonna get this out there right away, just get this all done with. I did not like Night School at all. I actually think this might be one of the worst movies I've seen all year. That's not to like swipe against like the actors and the director Malcolm D. Lee. Like everyone who made this movie put in work except for the 6 screenwriters. Yes, 6 screenwriters. They're the ones who I blame most of this like just complaints on, because like I said, the actors and the director did exactly what they can do. Malcolm D. Lee directed Girls Trip last year. I don't think he just forgot how to direct like talent. That's not the issue. Kevin Hart doesn't ever, he's not my cup of tea, but he wasn't the worst in this movie. It's truly the script, the story, the jokes most of the time, as it compared to something that as strong as comedy has been recently. We have a movie, like I mentioned, last year's Girls Trip, which I think transcended like the idea of black comedy or a female comedy to a really solid, entertaining piece. And then to go to Night School, still starring Tiffany Haddish as well. I am so confused at what happened in this movie. So my first talking point about Night School is this movie feels incredibly dated. This feels like a comedy you would have seen between like 1998 to 2008. Like this really rough, cringy time for comedy where it was either parodies or just like lowest common denominator humor. That's what this reminds me of. It's just kind of like how back we were. This movie is set like in the flashbacks, I believe in 2001, and that's where I'm like, so this movie is an homage to 2001 comedies, those really bad, cringy comedies like Not Another Teen Movie, or, okay, I actually like that one, but you know what I mean. It goes back to that kind of comedy, and I don't think the writers were that smart to do an homage or a parody of 2000s comedies, because this feels like writers who were from the 2000s who still think these jokes work. That is including Kevin Hart. As much as I said I did not have a problem with him acting in this movie, I actually thought he was kind of like toned down Kevin Hart. Like he came at me at a 6 instead of a 10, and I appreciate that, Kevin. Thank you. But I do think the jokes he did and a lot of the improv he did on set just kind of felt dated is the word I keep going to. It just felt tired, and I've seen it. It's unoriginal. Nothing in this movie like reinvented the wheel. Do I think every comedy needs to reinvent the wheel? No, but with Malcolm D. Lee directing, who's done some really solid pieces, that I'm just like, what? Why? What's happening? Why does this movie just feel so tired and so like, we went through the motions. I was like, oh, and this is the part where like a slapstick moment's gonna happen. Oh, and this is the part where like those two are gonna like kind of fight and then come back together at the end. It's like paint by numbers, and look, if that's your thing, you're going to like this. People loved this movie in my screening. I am not just being like, oh, like it's just me. I can take my review out of something and be like, no, people really enjoyed this movie. So if you're gonna take away anything from it, I might not like it, but the audience around me liked it a lot. I briefly mentioned him, and I did say Kevin Hart is not a problem, but I think the biggest issue I had with him in this movie is, for me, Kevin Hart is not a lead actor. He is not the main person who should be in a movie. When he works great in like an ensemble cast, like I loved Kevin Hart in Jumanji. I was really surprised that he got as many laughs at that as he did. I believe he's fine in other like smaller bits he does as well, or like stand-up. I like Kevin Hart, where he's the only point. But like when you're trying to deal with like a lot of supporting actors who are stealing his shine, like an actress like Tiffany Haddish, who I'm like, she's really like the female Kevin Hart, but better. And I'm just, every time she was there, I'm like, ooh, that's who I want to be in this movie, not you. But like I said, Kevin Hart, it does fine in this. He handles the material well. You could just tell this is kind of his cup of tea, that like he was a big part in making this. He is like one of the executive producers, one of the writers, one of 6 writers. Don't forget that. One of 6 writers. But yeah, this is his film, and I don't want to take away that he wanted to be the lead in this. But as an executive producer, you should see this and be like, okay, I might not be the strongest to carry this. What's an actor or an actress who's strong enough to carry? let's make this about Tiffany Haddish's character and her dealing with all of these weird, like, kind of side characters in her night school. That is a much better film. It isn't this tired male story of him trying to win the girl over and, oh my God, these weird gender roles where, like, she can't pay for me, I have to look like I'm rich and bossy, and like, God, I hated the main story of this movie. But that's who I'm trying to fix this. Put Tiffany Haddish in the lead role and let her deal with students like Rob Riggle, with Kevin Hart, with, oh my God, some of those other students. Like, oh my God, Fat Joe as a prisoner who's trying to get his GED. Cameo I did not expect. But yes, that's what I wanted this to be, was Tiffany Haddish dealing with all these people as opposed to Kevin Hart falling into these people's lives and Tiffany Haddish only having like an extended cameo, it felt like. Like, she was a decent part of this movie, but not enough. Not enough to really make this that strong. This movie does have some positives because I'm not one to just be like, if a movie's bad or if I don't like it, there's nothing good, everything wrong with it. No, there are some positives. The supporting cast, everyone from Romany Malco to Taran Killam to Rob Riggle, Keith David, Tiffany Haddish, these actors made this movie. What a supporting cast. What a great group to work off and bounce off Kevin Hart's insanity. I loved it. My personal favorite being Keith David. I love seeing him in anything. I've loved him since the 80s. I've loved him since seeing him in weird random horror movies or these weird blaxploitation action movies. Keith David is that dude. I love him. Great actor there. Really good supporting cast. Not what I thought as one of the major negatives. But they don't get all the time to shine as some of the time they have to share it with Kevin Hart, or they're forced with some really bad jokes. Seeing Rob Riggle have to do bad slapstick, I was like, okay, once again, everyone around me laughed when he fell down and like broke his back and oh my God, my knees, my back. I was like, okay, fine. Like I said, these actors are great, get stuck with some pretty weak material in the script. The script is probably my biggest issue, though I will say deep in that script is one of my positives. This movie has a really interesting and good message of you are not a moron, you are not an idiot. Some people are just not good learners. Some people don't take tests well. Some people really aren't meant for school in the traditional sense. That's what I actually really took away from this movie and really enjoyed. I was not a test taker in school. They made me, like, I related to Kevin Hart's character when, like, he would see a test and everything just goes crazy and you're like, what is this? That's what I felt with that. I actually really enjoyed that part of it. That message gets thrown in with some, like, cringy, like, well, to get rid of, like, dyslexia or, like, the math version of dyslexia, which once again, my brain, the math version of dyslexia, it's just to beat somebody and then have an MMA fight. So much things that I'm like, that's what we're doing? Same thing with like there's a mini heist element to this movie where they're like, we're gonna go steal the grades, which are the test, which was just a movie like in the early 2000s where they tried to steal like the Harvard exam or something. I was like, oh, that's gonna be the plot. That is a 10-minute gag, basically. It is a little scene where they're trying to steal something that leads to nothing. Like, there is so much in this movie that I'm like, show me, don't tell me, show me. Like, if you're going to show me the stupid comedy moments, show me your actual plot and story development as well. Show me your characters growing as well. Don't tell me they grow, show me. The script is just so messy. There's too many cooks in this kitchen. 6 writers for a generic comedy? No, 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 no. Scale this down. 1 or 2 writers. Kevin Hart, you know, kind of getting that writing credit because I know he's on set improvising, bringing things out from the actors. I'm fine with that. But 1 really good writer. That's all you need. So unlike the bad pacing of Night School, I'm gonna wrap this review up by saying, I did not enjoy this movie, but the audience did, so you should go check this out. Don't just go off my judgment. Sure, if you kind of are hearing this comedy isn't for you, then you know this comedy isn't for you. But if you're hearing this being like, oh no, I love every Kevin Hart movie, go see it. I am not telling anyone to not go see this. I want you to go out, have a good time, laugh. But for me, and for anyone who's on the fence about it, I'm warning you, this is not for you. Thank you so much for tuning into this review. It's so fun talking about Night School with you. I actually like talking about a movie. Even if I don't like it, it's fun to talk about it. So I want you guys to join in with this conversation. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of this review, what you think of Night School. Please give me a thumbs up because YouTube likes their thumbs up and they matter. And also subscribe to my channel so you can see new videos like this every single week. Thank you so much, and thank you for joining me for About Last Night.